This is the craziest bike that Harley-Davidson has ever built. Last year we got to ride Harley-Davidson's CVO Road Glide ST. And in fact, that bike ended up being one of our 10 best bikes of 2024. But for 2025, Harley has upped the ante substantially with the introduction of the brand new CVO Road Glide RR. Now what this bike is basically a top tier motorcycle to give customers the closest possible resemblance to a Moto America King of the Baggers race bike that they possibly can in a street legal package. This bike is essentially to Harley-Davidson what Ducati's Superleggera or Desmo Sedici were to that company. This is a very exclusive top of the tier motorcycle, but it's street legal in all 50 states. But here's the catch. This bike is only going to be made in 131 units to match the new engine size, which we'll talk about shortly, and it's $110,000. This is honestly as close as you can possibly get to a Moto America King of the Baggers race bike without building it yourself. Another cool factor about this is compared to the ST, which has a 121 in it, so that's about 170 cc if you're doing it in metric. This is 2,147 cc's is what 131 is. But this engine makes considerably more power than that bike, obviously. And in this chassis, which weighs about 50 pounds less than the ST, you've got a much better power to weight ratio than that bike even had. So let's talk about what this engine is like out on the track. So we got to ride here at the Podium Club outside of Phoenix, Arizona today. We got to do 3 20-minute sessions on this bike after warming up on a ST model. Hopping from the ST model to this bike was actually really telling because the 121, it's a great engine and it's got a ton of power. But then you jump on this thing and it's a completely different beast. It's got a different transmission. It's got the same transmission that the race team uses in their race bikes. And you've got a lot more power than the ST model. Out on track, it's not overwhelming. It's got a really nice delivery. We put it into the track mode. It's got 2 different track modes, and the thing was really, really enjoyable to ride. It's impressive. The torque at the bottom end is absolutely fabulous, but this thing revs up to 6,500 RPM, which is about 700 more RPM than the ST revs. So you've really got a little bit more ceiling up top. And just coming out of corners, you know, if you didn't have the traction control working, this thing would definitely be squirreling the tire all over the place. But as it was, it's just a really fun bike to hustle around the racetrack with this engine. I was really impressed. Shifting through the gears, going down the straightaway, we were hitting the top speed limiter on this, which is set at about 120 miles per hour right now, and that's because of the bias ply tires that Harley uses on it. But 120 miles per hour on a bagger seems pretty reasonable for most people, but it was really, really fun. I had a great time with the engine and thought it was really impressive, and it's definitely a big step up from the 121. Now let's talk about the chassis, because I honestly thought that the engine was going to be the showstopper here. But for me, for sure, I would say that the chassis is what steals the headlines on this motorcycle. After getting an opportunity to ride on the ST this morning and ride that around, when we rode it in Vegas last year, we thought it was really good. When you get it into the corners, it's kind of wallowing a little bit. It's kind of, you've got the floorboards really limiting your lean angle, and you could never really pull it back to the apex where you wanted it. And then I went out on the RR and I was like, holy crap, this thing is absolutely awesome. The Öhlins Superbike fork that's on this thing, and then the remote reservoir Öhlins shocks were absolutely awesome. Had so much better control than on any Harley I've ever ridden, to be honest. You've got about 2 inches more ride height, so you've got a lot more lean angle on this motorcycle than you do on the ST. I got out there and this bike was so planted for its weight, which is 755 pounds. I could pull this thing down to the apex, flick it through these S's that were at the racetrack that we were on today, and the thing just handled amazingly. I was really shocked. They've made a huge improvement compared to even the ST, which is a huge improvement over the standard Road Glide. So the Öhlins suspension at either end, absolutely show-stopping. But let's also talk about the Brembo brakes. This bike has Brembo's GP4RX calipers, which are nickel plated. They're in one of their highest levels that Brembo offers to the customers, and then they've got their T rotors 320 millimeters. Excellent brakes. It's got an adjustable brake lever. The brakes are absolutely outstanding. And today, when I moved from the ST to this bike and started riding this, you know, the brakes are noticeably stronger and very impressive. Really, really nice communication of what's going on with the front tire. Really was impressed by those. So you take just those two aspects of the chassis, and this bike is an absolute amazing motorcycle for what it is. I can't believe that they're able to make a street legal bike that customers can go and buy, and granted it's a special few customers, but it's pretty awesome. So hopefully the people who buy this motorcycle will actually go out and ride the thing and take it to a track day and get to enjoy it a little bit, because it's really nice. A couple other cool details about this motorcycle. You got to look at the swing arm. The swing arm is one of the coolest things we've ever seen. If you've ever seen a Moto America King of the Baggers race bike, this swing arm starts with a 220-pound billet piece of aluminum and is milled down to an 18-pound swing arm that is absolutely gorgeous. This thing is fantastic looking. Just such a cool piece of art right there. I think everybody's gonna look at this bike and think, man, that's really cool, but $110,000, is that really worth it for a Harley-Davidson CVO? You know, CVOs have always been exclusive motorcycles. CVOs have always been a tier up. They always got the bigger engines first. They've always got the best paint and all the features and all the bells and whistles. But this bike is completely different in the sense that it is 100% pointed toward being performance oriented. And like no other Harley that they've ever made, this is probably the most high performance street legal motorcycle that Harley-Davidson has ever made. And that's super cool no matter how you slice it. Who needs a $110,000 Harley-Davidson bagger? I don't know, but it's one of the coolest things I've ridden in a very long time. So, you know, for sure, I think people who are big fans of Moto America King of the Baggers racing are gonna look at this bike, and it's kind of the ultimate, you know, tribute to that series. And this is the closest that any customer can possibly get to one of these bikes without building it themselves and putting together great pieces. And some of the pieces, like the swing arm and some of the super trick things, nobody's ever gonna be able to replicate. So for what this bike is, it's a pretty amazing motorcycle. You know, just the features and the finishes and everything that this has is top notch and exactly what you would expect from a super exclusive motorcycle. So thanks for watching here from Phoenix. And if you like what you see, please comment, like, and subscribe, and ask us any questions and we'll try to answer them. Thanks for watching.